So tonight, we get to celebrate the first communion of two very special members of the congregation, Mason and Patrick. Both 7 years old, these two were excellent students in class as we talked about the meaning for First Communion. Their parents are doing a wonderful job of teaching the faith to the next generation, resulting in kids who are kind, funny, respectful, and faithful. That got me thinking, though, about what some of the other messages these two will learn in the years to come, not from their parents, but from the world in which we live. They will be taught that their worth comes from their position on the socioeconomic strata, whether that be the kind of car they drive when they're 17, the quality of their education when they're 27, their place on the corporate ladder when they're 47, or the depth of their retirement account at 67. They will be taught to pursue excellence in all things, bordering on perfection. That kind of pressure to always get things right can actually become paralyzing. They will be taught by the world to look out for number one, putting themselves and their family above all others, sometimes even at the expense of others. And they will be taught to either maximize every minute of time to the point of exhaustion, or to be pulled off course by the many distractions of life to the point of dysfunction. Or they may vacillate between the two. This keeping up with the Joneses culture in which we live pits human beings against one another, making it nearly impossible for a Christian to remain inoculated from such belief systems. That's what makes the events of this night so very radical. It's Maundy Thursday, the lesser of the 3 festival days which make up Holy Week, and yet its message is so deeply needed. Maundy comes from the Latin word mandatum, like mandate, commandment. It's reflecting Jesus' words spoken to his followers. I give you a new commandment, that you love one another. And then he shows them what it looks like to love one another. The teacher kneels down and washes his disciples' feet, an act that was typically given to the lowliest servant or member of the household. And when Peter protests that he should be washing Jesus' feet, Jesus makes it clear that the kind of hierarchy we have in the world does not apply to people of faith. Teacher serves student, master serves slave, leader serves follower. He then moves on from hosting the Passover meal, a role of great honor, to becoming the meal himself. He becomes the sacrificial lamb through whom the people will move from slavery into freedom. Can you imagine his disciples' shock when he said, "This is my body, eat it. This is my blood, drink it"? Having heard these words week after week, year after year, we have grown numb to them. But I imagine that his closest followers would have been disgusted at the thought of eating his body and drinking his blood. How could they? He was sitting right in front of them. But Jesus chose such radical words to prepare them for his ultimate sacrifice, his willing sacrifice and death on the cross. In a total reversal of the world's values, Love compelled Jesus to give up his life for all. He sacrificially loved the 12 sitting at his table, including Judas, who was betraying him, and Peter, who would deny even knowing him. He sacrificially loved his larger group of followers, including the women who supported his ministry and to whom he would entrust his resurrection. He sacrificially loved the people of old, entering in the 3 days to the place of the dead to open the way to all who had gone before him. And he sacrificially loved the people of the future, the early Christian martyrs, regular people who faithfully followed generation after generation, the leaders who formed and reformed the church, and you and me, all gathering in his name on Holy Thursday. Jesus put love into the ultimate action, giving his life to save someone else, and we are the recipients of that sacrificial love. Jesus said, "I have set an example for you, that you also should do as I have done to you." And then later he said, "Just as I have loved you, you also should love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you have love for one another." Which brings me back to our dear Patrick and Mason. In fact, to each one of us, as we are surrounded with the values of the world, this holy meal beckons us to pursue a life with an entirely different bottom line. So when the world judges your worth based on your things, your success, or your performance, recall Christ's love poured out on the cross. We are worthy because we are beloved children of God. Everything else falls to a far second. And when the pressure to get it right becomes overwhelming, trust that if Jesus would give his life for Judas and Peter, certainly Jesus' unwavering love is with us as well, on our good days and on our bad days. And instead of always looking out for number one, God calls us to work for the greater good, to live in service to others, to have our well-being intricately tied to the well-being of the whole. And when we feel pushed to constantly perform, or when we give up and waste all of our time, hear God's call to live wisely, intentionally, celebrating each day as a gift and seeking to be faithful in all things, in our work and in our Sabbath time. So Patrick and Mason, this is a very special day for you and for all of us. For on this night, we receive the sacrifice of God's unending love, and we hear our call to follow his example. May we pursue such a life of service with the same kind of open hearts and minds that these two have shown me in the past few weeks. Amen.